Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well, guys and gals. Let's see who's in the chat. We have, wow, 89 people here already. So I can't read all of them off, but all right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me for this little shindig. All right. So I've been noticing a lot of chatter across a number of toy channels over the last, I'd say, week and a half. And it all kind of started with this Maximum Spider-Man thing, and rightfully so. You know, everybody was kind of understandably up in arms about this Spider-Man, its pricing. Articulated Ninja did a really good video about it, but there have been a number of people. Hey, Drew, good to see you. There have been a number of people who've done videos about this. Bradshaw Studio, thanks for the super sticker, much appreciated. And they were talking about the price, the potential price it's going to be. Well, then I guess it was 2 days ago, sometime right before the weekend, I think, they announced the price on the No Way Home Electro. So you've got the Maximum Series Spider-Man. We're still waiting on what the price of that thing's going to be. And they've just announced the price on this thing, which is $35. And everybody's aghast because it's a basic figure and you're paying for a lot of empty space in a box with a bunch of electric bolts that are probably pennies to make. They could have been in a plastic bag under his feet at the bottom of a normal size box or under the bubble of a normal size box. So that even though this isn't a Maximum figure, that was like a baseline sort of like canary in the coal mine to figure out what this thing, the price of this thing might be. So as part of that conversation, everybody was talking about how the CEO, Chris Cox, had turned around and said that he wants to take this whole thing away from toys. He wants Hasbro to become a gaming company. Now, the previous CEO, who died of a terminal illness, that's not sarcasm. He did. Like, I'm not taking a shot. What's up, Lyle Convoy? Good to see you, man. Loved your recent stream, the latest one that you did. I just got that. I just got finished with that one earlier this morning. So this guy has come out and said, Chris Cox, he's come out and said he wants Hasbro to be a gaming company. The previous CEO, who passed away, wanted Hasbro to not be a toy company. He wanted it to be a movie and multimedia company. Well, the movie multimedia company aspirations were a disaster from the moment he started trying to pull that off. And then it continued to become so bad, but he wouldn't let go of it. It took him dying and a new guy coming in for that ambition to go away, because they paid something like $4 billion for a production company in Canada. And then when Chris Cox came around and became the new CEO, they sold it for $500 million or something. Like, it was a massive fire sale on that. And some people were like, oh, but they got Peppa Pig when they bought the studio and they kept Peppa Pig. So, and I'm like, is Peppa Pig really worth $3.5 billion? I just have my doubts. So we have, yeah, great point, Uncle Bennis. He says Hasbro owns more master licenses than they know what to do with, but want to stop making toys. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, so this new guy comes in and he's like, okay, well, we don't need to be a movie company anymore, so we're going to sell that off. And you think to yourself, oh, there's a little bit of common sense going on here. He's going to sell it off and shore up Hasbro's core business. No. As I said when it happened, I said we can hold our breath for that, but it's unlikely, because he's a corporate CEO. And he's a corporate CEO of a company that is at the stage in their evolution where all they know how to do is acquire and merge. They how to buy stuff. They don't know how to make anything. They don't know how to come up with ideas, and they don't know how to innovate. And that's exactly what they do, is they acquire and then just try and stamp that crap out. They acquire and they license. And licensing is a form of acquisition. It's temporary, but it's a form of acquisition. And so now what they're doing is they're playing the corporate playbook out, which is, we don't really even want the core business that we're doing. The two franchises that they even, not including My Little Pony, but we'll include My Little Pony. So the 3 franchises that they still consistently represent, that they own outright, although one has an asterisk: G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, and G.I. Joe went on hiatus for a while, if you recall. And then Transformers. Now, Transformers is shared. It's a shared license with Takara. So there's a little bit of sort of like Potomac two-step going on there. I'm not really sure how that works. But those are the 3. And then Cox comes along and he says, let's sub-license parts of Transformers and G.I. Joe to Super 7 and some other companies as well. And you're going, well, wait a second. So you own those outright. The profits would be all yours. But now we're going into that scary corporate territory where they want a corporation gets to a point where it wants to own everything, but it doesn't want to be burdened with making anything. So it turns around and it says, let's start subletting this stuff out and see how it goes. And maybe eventually we won't have to make anything anymore. Now you might say, well, what about Star Wars and Ghostbusters and Marvel? Well, we've heard the rumblings that it's not confirmed, but we've heard rumblings that they want to get out of the licensing business. I can understand why, given that everything that is coming out of Hollywood studios right now is dead on arrival. So Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, name any Marvel television show within the last 18 months, any Marvel film that's come out in the last few years. Hasbro's paying massive fees in merchandising sort of partnerships to make toys that nobody really wants. I'm not going to reach out and buy an Eternals figure or a Marvels figure or a Skeleton Crew figure or an Acolyte figure or anything like that. So Hasbro has over leveraged most of their business model into licenses when it comes to the toy side of things. What does that mean? Well, it means that they're taking losses on that all the time. And they just came out and said a few months ago, there was the report that Hasbro shareholders were demanding an audit of Hasbro's distribution and product product overhead. In other words, Hasbro finally had to come out and admit that within the last few years they have amassed this volume of overstock that isn't being sold fast enough or at all, which explains all the dumping at places like Ollie's and Big Lots, because they have a distribution issue. Retailers where they're not getting those first run products in front of us like they're supposed to, which means that their inherent value of not only their per unit items, but the company as a whole has been misrepresented. So they were dealing with that in late 2024. I don't know if there's been a resolution on that call to audit them yet. I'm not really sure what happened there, but it's there nonetheless. And it has to do with their distribution problems that have been perennial for at least 20 years now. The better part of, it definitely since 2011, probably going back a little further than that. And Chris Cox comes out remember, the whole time this is going on, the whole time, layoff after layoff after layoff, like mass layoffs at intervals. Now, as people like Bobby Valla have revealed, layoff cycles are nothing new at Hasbro because it's been shifting from an innovative company over the last 30 years to just a corporate monster. This is going to happen. But with Hasbro, it's been particularly acute in the last 18 months. And the areas they targeted for most of the layoffs, yes, we just heard that the action figure and toy division just had layoffs. But prior to that, there were 2 big rounds of layoffs within their gaming division. Okay. The CEO comes out and says, I want to be a video game company. We want to be a digital gaming company. Well, the only division of Hasbro that was in the green, that was really helping move their financial gains needle, was Wizards of the Coast. That was one of the groups that they gutted. And particularly their Dungeons and Dragons group, who was that group and the individuals in it who are all gone now because of the layoffs, they were directly responsible on Hasbro's end for the success of Baldur's Gate 3, which was a massively successful, say it with me, video game. So you've got a guy doing the whole like politician thing where he says to the public, we want to be this. But if you look at what's been done, it's in the direct opposition to the goal. Well, within the last few weeks, he's come out and he said, because there was that controversy, remember, a few months ago, where Dungeons and Dragons books and manuals were being, and some of the rule sets, I believe, were being generated via AI. All right. Thank you, Fauntleroy. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. Hashtag get him, Michael. I'll do my best. I really will. Thanks for being here, man. Hello, Tony. Good to see you. And as KBA is saying, Wizards of the Coast is hemorrhaging money. Well, one of the reasons it's hemorrhaging money, as we know from the financial news, is because Hasbro messed up Magic the Gathering, which they started like screwing over their retailers with I don't remember if it was the 2023 or 2024 assortments, which they couldn't absorb because they'd already ordered too much 2022 or 23. I can't remember which, that was now sitting on shelves, clogging up these store shelves. And it was Wall Street. It was Bank of America. Bank of America came out and said, we are downgrading our recommendation on Hasbro's stock. And they cited how Hasbro had mismanaged Magic the Gathering, which normally in a financial recommendation like that, from a stock, a bank, they don't really call out specific brands. But in this case, they basically said Hasbro has shot their own golden goose. So if you put that on top of, the massive mismanagement of Magic the Gathering, which was Hasbro's only profit driver, apparently, then they started firing a bunch of people from within both Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons, and Magic the Gathering. And that's before they did the next round of layoffs in toys and action figures. So they've gutted this group that has been working directly with their video game publishers and partners to develop Baldur's Gate 3, which was a massively successful video game. And then Chris Cox, in his, impressive and wizened new leadership, his bold new direction for Hasbro, turns around and fires all those people, the very people that made their biggest video game a success. But he wants to be a digital gaming company. Well, how does all this track? Well, Mr. Cox came out recently. Oh, thank you, Clones of Steve, Dreamkiller. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Very kind. He said, yeah, I got laid off from the Wizards of the Coast group. Oh my God, dude, I'm genuinely sorry It's a bunch of bullshit, really. We were like, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. Like, I can understand why. I can understand why. So they got in hot water because they were screwing with the rule sets for D&D. They were caught using AI for the illustrations and some of the rule sets. They said that this was going to be what they wanted to do because they had already fired all these people. And now Chris Cox is like, yeah, we're a gaming company going forward. We're going to be a gaming company. And if you read his quotes, he actually says, given the preponderance of AI in the marketplace right now, we would be foolish not to pursue it within our gaming divisions, which is flimsy, callous code for we don't want employees anymore. We want AI, and we want to keep all the money for ourselves. So here we have a company that is continuing to price gouge on their toys while firing more people from the toy division and doing less and less to innovate, while sub-licensing most of their wholly owned properties like G.I. Joe to other companies to make stuff so they can collect royalty checks instead, like licensing checks and royalty checks. Then in the background, they're gouging out the prices of what they do make without a care in the world because they don't see a future in toys, because they've created a self-fulfilling prophecy where there is no future for them in toys. But over here, they say they want to be a video game company, no longer a movie studio now, a video game company, and they've gutted their video game staff or their gaming staff in the process. Because all these corporations, it doesn't matter what industry they're in, it doesn't matter what industry they operate in, the goal is always the same. These CEOs and their board of directors would ideally like to be the only people who work at the company in big skyscrapers, and they take all the money while robots do all the work. But then they still, in their folly, expect human beings who no longer have jobs to buy their products and services, even though we'll have no money. It's wild. I fully suspect that the toys and action figures and all that stuff, that your traditional toys, I fully suspect that the reason they're starting to outsource those is because with toys, there hasn't yet been a way to eliminate human beings from the process. And if you can't eliminate human beings from the process, then you've got to funnel that somewhere until it finally dies off. I'm surprised they haven't shuttered it. But with video games and gaming and print, like rule sets and things like that, artwork for fantasy role play and sci-fi role play, I know that guys like Chris Cox are looking at that and rubbing their hands together and going, ooh, this is exactly where AI shines. This is where AI is developing itself to be, in their perception, indistinguishable from the human effort. It's not. But these corporate Goombas, they don't think that way. That their standards are low and their prices are high. So he's looking over here and going, you know what? We don't need divisions anymore that rely on designers and artists and sculptors and engineers. Those are humans. We have to pay those people. That's very inconvenient. If we become a digital gaming company, we can eliminate all of these people from our ranks of employees, even more than we already have. And then we can turn around and collect even more profits for ourselves off increasingly mediocre products. Darth Elusive, thank you for the super chat. He says, Mike, you always cut through the bullshit of these toy companies. I try. What is the way out from these poor decision-making corporate clowns to redirect the industry to become innovators? I am, and it's funny that your handle is Darth Elusive with the Darth part, because of what I'm about to say. I am always extremely reticent to ever give off the perception that I'm giving any credit to any part of the sequel trilogy from Disney. But in a sad bit of irony, I have to look at you and quote Kylo Ren and say, let the past die, kill it if you have to. And in this case, I'm referring to Hasbro. Like, you know, this company has chosen a poor direction, and it has pursued it aggressively for the last 20 years. And now we're here. And I, frankly, as much as people are emotionally tied to G.I. Joe and some people are really tied to My Little Pony and all that kind of stuff, those brands would be sold off if Hasbro collapsed. Those brands would go on to another company somewhere. Think about it. Hasbro swallowed up all these other lucrative IPs over the years from all these other toy companies. They own so much intellectual property that was created by other toy companies, and they don't use a lick of it. They just let it collect dust because they don't know how to innovate. So all of those products are locked up, not being used, or barely to never. So by my estimation, the best thing that can happen is for Hasbro to pursue this folly and fully go under. Just go under and implode. Become just a shadow, I don't know, hedge fund company of its former self, a clearinghouse like MGM or RKO or something like that, where it's just this ghost of because what these corporate flacks do now, all they want to do is come in. They see these companies not as legacies, they see them as parts. So I'm sure Chris Cox knows the risk is that the company could fold. And if that's the case, he's already got a plan in place to sell it off part and parcel. And then he and the board of directors walk away with big stock wins, because Wall Street loves a good merger and acquisition. They love a good sell-off. They love a good saving the shareholder this and that. Wall Street doesn't reward planning for the long term. Wall Street rewards quarter to quarter earnings. They reward layoffs to save money. They reward a company for treating their people badly and taking away their benefits. They reward a company for doing anything possible in the most brutal, rending way possible to save their bottom line for the next quarter. So my take on this is that the faster Hasbro dies, the better off everything will be. And that might sound, who on earth could possibly be calling me right now? They might very well, have people out there, and I know they do, the fans who are like, no, don't let Hasbro die. I love G.I. Joe. I love My Little Pony. We can't let it die. But it needs to, because all we're doing is watching a really, really slow explosion. We're watching this whole thing just kind of like die in slow-mo. It's like that the worst death scene in movie history from that like 70s film where the guy gets shot in slow motion from like 7 angles or whatever. Like that's what we're watching with Hasbro right now. They're mistreating people. They're making really terrible decisions for the customers. They're gouging on prices. They're not innovating with their products. Do we really want this thing to just stay on life support while these corporate guys rake up all the money? I don't want to see that. I'd rather see them be forced to give up the Star Wars and Marvel licenses, because Disney needs to fix their management of those IPs anyway. It's not like those are doing any good for anybody. So they need to step back and look at how they want to market and develop and merchandise their licenses going forward. So Hasbro really doesn't need to be in charge of them right now. Hasbro just needs to go. Because there are always going to be other corporate vultures ready to pick the cadaver clean. There always are. When Toys R Us went under, it was a sad day for brick and mortar toy sales, but Toys R Us still exists as an entity, because those guys who used it as collateral, they knew to keep the parts to profit from a little bit later. The big profit was selling it off to get out from under the whole Kmart Sears debacle it was. But they kept the Toys R Us name and brand. It didn't go away. It's still around. It's just in a really, really crappy condition from what it was before. I think Hasbro needs to go. Go. Aged Boomer, thank you for the $5. They have no appreciation for what makes a good toy or game. No, they don't. They really don't. They are clueless. MC Austin, thank you for the very kind super chat, sir. He says, only target the figs you actually want and let the rest fizzle. Hasbro keeps tripping over their own feet. They want to go back to the fail that was Hasbro Interactive. They couldn't even get good games then. They never got good games out of Hasbro Interactive, and they never got good movies out of Hasbro Studios. Snake Eyes Origins, anyone? Or any movie that was called G.I. Joe? Even the Transformers films might be guilty pleasures, but they're not good. And I know people are like, what about Transformers 1? Yeah, that's what everybody said when they said, well, what about Bumblebee? And now everyone hates Bumblebee, and now they're glomming on Transformers 1. You can't trust a fanboy's take for anything on that kind of crap. Anybody who buys into the hype is Hasbro's intended mark, or any company like Hasbro or Disney. This is what you get when a toy company is run by suits who have no appreciation or understanding of the toys. All they know is what business school taught them, which is cut and profit. Yep. Hasbro hasn't created a new IP in at least 25. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, somebody like Hasbro owns Kenner. Literally, we have got to empower smaller companies to step up and grow and become competitors in this marketplace. Like Jada Toys does pretty good work for a fairly reasonable price. Articulated Ninja did a great bit about Jada Toys' Street Fighter II line in his Maximum Marvel Legends Spider-Man video. It was very, very good observations on his part. But we also have to champion even smaller companies that are trying to get in on this kind of stuff. Like Valaverse has been a success story. It's one of the things that I think people have misunderstood me about for several years now on YouTube. They love to get mad when, and I understand why they get mad, because I've lost money on the ones I'm about to mention. Like when, Fan Strike Back went under. Now, Fan Strike Back was basically an artisan figure maker, bootlegger, whatever you want to call it, but he was an artisan maker. He wasn't ever going to rate. The Airwolf guy allegedly had the rights to the whole thing, and he fumbled that too. So I lost a lot of money on those. So it's not like I'm not sympathetic to people being angry, but they get mad at me personally and say, why were you even talking about these companies? Well, I talked about them in the same way I talked about Valaverse and Stan Solo and a number of other people, because I want to see competitors come into this space and start to succeed over these legacy companies that are doing nothing but dragging all this stuff down. You have to have competition. These companies like Mattel and Hasbro swallowed everything up, and now there's no competition left. So everything is mediocre. Everything is mid. Everything is just whatever. Until new, smaller companies gain a foothold, there's no hope. And the only way for those smaller companies to gain a foothold is if we take a risk on them. And it is a risk. Sometimes those risks don't pan out. But the immature toy collectors want to turn around and blame a YouTube channel for it. It's like, I didn't get anything for free. I didn't get anything. I lost money on all that. So it's a tough spot to be in. Snell's World, thank you for the $5 super chat. It's crap toys for kids. We had better than they did today. Get Transformers lines down to just Chug, Studio Series, and Masterpiece only. Yeah, exactly. That's because Hasbro's throwing wet toilet paper at the wall to see what sticks with all these IPs. When they started doing multiple scales rather than committing to one scale for each property, they were lost. I mean, lost. What's up, Ra? Good to see you, man. Let's see. Somebody says Ned had a good idea. Give the Star Wars license to Stan Solo. Wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen. Wouldn't be the worst. Stan Solo would do a great job. People just can't let go of things. Anakin had the same problem, and look what happened to him. Yep. Caller ID H Pink. Yeah, let him try. Let him try. Lio Convoy says, back in the day, the creatives of Hasbro were intermingled with the toy makers. Now there's a massive gap between them, and Hasbro fancies itself as anything other than a toy company. And once a company sees itself like that, where they're just an intellectual property clearinghouse, they have no business really being in the marketplace anymore. They really just need to, die. Let Hasbro die. Kill it if you have to. Wouldn't it be, though? Wouldn't it be? That'd be funny. K-Dog, thanks for the super chat. Hope you're having a good day, Michael. Hope you are too, sir. Hasbro is going to fall on their faces with this venture. Video games are a completely different animal. Yeah, and the whole digital gaming thing, I'm assuming that also implies mobile games and all kinds of trashy, like fly-by-night stuff like that. I don't see Hasbro having a track record of success where they can make a future out of this. I feel like they're just pivoting to the next thing and trying to get in the news cycle, just to get the stockholders of Wall Street to give them a short-term bump. It's kind of like how Kathleen Kennedy will just announce Star Wars movies just to get Lucasfilm back in the news cycle, even though she has no intention of making 70% of those projects. They're never going to happen. It's just to keep the media talking about her company and hopefully getting the stockholders to let them float for another quarter. I mean, it's all part and parcel when it's owned by corporations and it's corporately run, which it has been for many years, and now it's just open and honest about it. Like, what do you expect? Michael, the Hasbros are going to be sending you angry DMs and comments now. Yeah, you know what? Whatever, because they've always been wrong about this. The only thing that they're right about is that they can't quit Hasbro. They're like, they are to Hasbro what, Heath Ledger was in Brokeback Mountain. Like they've already admitted that they've got the itch, they've got the addiction, they can't quit it. So they're not helpful in finding a solution because they're never going to acknowledge a problem. That's worthless to all of us. And the funny part is, if you're already, and I said this in my Canon is Overrated video years ago, if you're willing to accept anything, why are you worried that other people are fighting to make it better? And they always do. They always say, shut up, don't say anything. And it's like, what do you care? You're going to buy it anyway. If I have influence somehow over one product or one, if a YouTuber who is mad at Hasbro bends the ear of Hasbro for, I don't know, one figure range or one revision or whatever, what does this person care? They're going to buy it anyway. So why are they so mad? It's ridiculous. Snell's World, thank you for the super chat. He says, third party with Transformers would go crazy with the prices, even though the product is stellar. Yeah, third party Transformers are excellent. They're great. I mean, look at the fact that Japanese Chogokin robots have an entire recognized collectability subcategory of KO. KO's bootlegs are highly, highly prized and collectible. Nobody's worried about having an exact brand stamp on it as long as the item is really good. And those third-party Transformers are amazing when you get them from the right companies. Let's see here. Well, you would disagree. You're named after the worst Nintendo game ever. So why should I take your opinion seriously? Brappy Hour, thanks for the super chat. Wonder how Takara would handle Transformers alone. Probably just fine, since Diaclone and Microchange were fine, you know. I'm so glad this was a joke, Lo-Fi. At first I got confused, but no, you're right. Yeah, we should be grateful. No, we need to be getting out from under these mega corporations. We need to be supporting smaller toy companies that have a reasonable size that employ real people. Just imagine, 5 corporations that own everything and they won't employ human beings. Man, great idea supporting them all these years. We literally supported ourselves out of existence. Kaz, thanks for the super chat. He says, hi, Michael. I think Takara can keep Transformers alive with new anime, like during G1. Have you seen any of the Transformers anime from G1, 90s, etc.? I mean, yeah, I've seen Headmasters and... Sorry, something just floated by me. I've seen Headmasters and I've seen some other... some of the 90s stuff, I believe. I haven't really delved into it deeply yet. Lio's on me about that, so I'll eventually get to it. But no, I'm not terribly familiar with it. But yeah, I think Takara could keep Transformers alive on its own. I don't think they'd miss Hasbro very much. I'm all for it. I mean, they killed Fox. They're holding Fox's entire catalog of movies in the vaults now. We can't get any of that stuff on physical media except anything James Cameron owns. It's a joke. So no, I'd have no problem watching Disney go off a cliff. Brian Dillingham, thank you for the $5. Execs will never use AI the way it should be to replace the execs. Absolutely. And funnily enough, there was a CEO of a non-toy, non-movie company that came out last week or 2 weeks ago and said he was depressed because he realized that AI could totally do his job. And I'm like, yeah, AI should have been almost a top-down thing rather than from the bottom up. You got rid of all the doers and you thought that AI wouldn't look at you eventually, all you worthless idiots in the boardroom, and go, we don't really need you guys. Out. Then it's Skynet. Thanks, Imperial Bricks. Good to see you. Let's see here. Ooh, I like this. Well done, Fly Highland. Well done. Let's see. Agreed, Lio. AI is freaking demonic, and I'm not budging. I agree, 100%. AI is the devil. It is the devil. All right, let's see here. Yep. Hasbro and its quality is going to shit is the reason why I buy imports and have moved on to buy third-party Transformers and Gundam Robot Spirits. Amen. It's why I've moved my money into other things like third-party Lego sets for certain themes, and I've been buying non-toy items for a while. Don't worry, I've still got plenty of toys to review. I've got tons of stuff to make videos on until the day I die. I'm not going to run out of that. But as far as modern Hasbro and Mattel stuff especially, yeah, I don't really need them. What's Corporate Commander? I know Angry Joe, but I don't really watch a lot of his stuff. What's Corporate Commander? I guess it's some character he does. I have it in my watch list, both the movies and the TV show. The only reason I haven't started it yet is because when I do, I plan to be taking notes so that I can do a video at some point. So That's why I say the way to beat them would be to find a way to buy them out. Not that I could. Yeah, you either have to buy them out or watch them implode and have to sell themselves on the open market. That's what they would have. That's the only thing. Fauntleroy, thanks for the super chat. I think Pepperidge Farm is the only one who does remember that preventing monopolization of industries was once an American value. And Melinda was listening to an interesting podcast last year where it was all about how the original creator of the board game Monopoly designed it to be an anti-monopoly, anti-corporate message game. But then a corporation stole it from her. And there were all these like lawsuits about it going on for decades and trying to get her compensation, but they turned it into a pro take all the money and run rich guy game. And so a lot of people don't know that it was an anti-corporate game. Well, I mean, well, yeah. Let's see. Oh, last call with Troy Pacelli. Thanks for the super chat. Just got here. We'll catch up after. Cheers. I hope you enjoy the show. Let's see. Where did my thing jumped? Sorry about that. Hold on a second. He says, Matafuko says, I've used AI to remove some guitar bleed on some drum tracks. More like a fancy filter, though. I think AI. Yeah, that's not what we're referring to. We're referring to replacing humans who do artwork and who do voices and humans on film, humans who draw and sculpt, humans who write. All that kind of stuff can be replaced with AI wholesale. There are already people who aren't writers who just had AI write books for them, and they're now independently selling them on Amazon. And it's like, look, if you don't have time to write the book, why should I make time to read it? If you didn't have the time to learn how to draw or paint or whatever, why should I be expected to look at it? And if you don't have time to make your own movie with real actors and stuff, why should I take the time to watch it? That's my thing. They won't, but nobody will be employed. So what will be the point of money at that point? Because AI won't have any use for profits. So what's the end game there, Clint? If you think that I grant you that CEOs are generally worthless. I totally grant you that. But an AI taking over a mega company, when what should be happening is these companies need to get broken up. These companies need to go back to reasonable regional sizes. And they need to start actually taking care of their employees. They need to be, once again told by law, you have to take care of these employees with certain benchmarks that we've all thrown away over the last 50 years systematically. So if there's no person at the top, yeah, for a mega corporation, that might be better in the short term, but in the long term, what does it mean? Meaning for all of us. I can't help but wonder if Hasbro's movie venture would have worked if they hadn't partnered with Paramount. After all, Paramount has been horribly managed. Yeah, I don't think Hasbro had the chops, regardless of who was their partner. Let's see here. Gary Lady says, someone once told me that AI was a tool that could be used for good or evil, and I've only seen evil uses. Not once have I seen good AI uses. It is theft. Yep. Hasbro is AI stealing. Yep. Yeah. Great points, Lio. Great points. Crystal Clear is here. Good to see you, man. This is assuming Hasbro went the way of doo-doo and they were forced to sell off their IPs. Aside from Star Wars and Indiana Jones, what IP would you like to see Stan Solo obtain? I mean, those would be the two I'd start with, but I'd have to ask Chris Smith what he'd love to do and work on. Let's see. True, Mark. Very true. Very true. Accurately stated, Jason. Accurately stated. Trying to get there, sir. Trying to get there. Not I'm not blind to that. I'm trying to get there. Oh, is that what he is on okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not leaving reviews behind. No, of course not. I got plenty of toys. I got toys for decades. Nah, we're fine. We're fine here. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you? Yeah, no, we're good. Netter, good to see you. Hey, David, good to see you, man. Let's see. Okay, I'll look it up, Shinkin. I'll look it up. Thanks. I agree with picking and choosing your action figures. We need to fight our FOMO and corporate loyalty. Yep, fear of missing out and corporate loyalty. Yep, we do. We really do. Yeah, see? You can't even get rid of it on YouTube. If you can't be bothered to make the video yourself, I can't be bothered to watch it. I won't do it. What is the quote? I wanted AI to do my chores for me so I can make art. Instead, AI does art for me so I can do more chores. Yeah. And you don't get paid for those chores. Isn't it though, Lewis? Isn't it though? We're going to end up like that crappy movie Elysium, tiny pool of ultra rich people, everyone else jobless and destitute. Yeah, which is not dissimilar to the original silent film Metropolis. Yep. I admit I do use AI to make action figures move around and walk, but I can't stop. Well, you know, first of all, love your profile picture. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. Second of all, I think what you're doing is fairly harmless. So, like, you know, as long as you know what your limits are, you know what I mean? No, I'm in agreement. Migo is coming back too. There's nothing wrong with a $20 action figure. Well, John, we're talking about Hasbro already charging $35 for what should have been a normal action figure, and God knows what they're going to charge for their Maximum series, which is also just some extra bits that used to be part of their standard line. So you can price gouge. There is something wrong with price gouging and over leveraging your value. Let's see. Lio Convoy, thank you so much for the super chat. Best way to get people away from AI, point out that Spectre used it to make his graphic novel. What a lazy goon. Did he really? I didn't even know he did a graphic novel, because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm concerned, every creative endeavor that he has can die in a bathroom in a bad neighborhood. But really, he used AI to make his graphic novel. Laughable, but not surprising. That guy's, ugh. The 40th anniversary stuff, that was a while ago. That was 2017, wasn't it? I mean, I like some of it. I mean, I've talked about some of it, but it's not about liking the product. It's about what they're charging for the products increasingly, what they're not innovating with in their product lines and divisions, the number of people they're firing, and what their ambitions are. And they've stated their ambitions are to get rid of their toy line and go into digital gaming, which will be all AI driven and AI produced. So why are you worried about whether or not I like Hasbro products? That's not the conversation. Yeah, you can always tell with the hands and the feet. You can always tell with the hands and feet. Find it ironic how Disney treated the Power Rangers franchise with more respect than Hasbro. The irony is the size of Godzilla. Yep, Very true. Very true. Let's see. Jakks Pacific is putting Hasbro to shame with their 5-inch Sonic Movie 3 figures with the level of articulation and detail. They only cost $15 each, too. There you go. Jakks Pacific, Jada Toys, may all these companies step on Hasbro's neck. I think Stan Solo could do whatever he put his mind to. The guy really understands how to engineer action figures of any style. So I bet you he would, I know for a fact that if he did it, he'd do it right. So yeah. Oh yeah, everybody. Thanks, Netter. If you can hit the like button on this one, that'd be great, everybody. Thanks. Let's see. Toy prices are just crazy. Between limited availability of several lines and the poor quality of the toys, it's hard to justify the expense for many of us. Yeah, it is. I mean, I barely buy anything from them anymore. And even that Maximum Spider-Man, which happens to be modeled after one of my favorite eras of Spider-Man, when that price comes out, if it's $50 or higher, I'm going to laugh and walk away. There's no way I'm going to get dragged into that. I've got far better things that I can spend my money on right now in my life. There's no way I'm going to do that. Did you ever look into the Jai Star SDF1 Lego? Like, no, I haven't yet, but I will. It's not willful neglect. I saw Metropolis in a cathedral last year with a dude improvising on the organ. It was a small screen, but amazing. Wow, that is cool. That's very cool. Would it be a crime to use AI to enhance my stop motion? I mean, if you've already done all the stop motion yourself and you're using it as an enhancement tool, if it's all physically there and the AI didn't generate the shots, then I guess you're in kind of a safe area. It's your ethical question to answer as the artist, because if you depend on your art for a living, then AI is the big danger to all artists getting paid for their work. So just keep that in mind. I think AI can be useful for shortcuts in your own work. It's when you steal someone else's work or make someone jobless. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Fanboys are how we get talked into AI overreach. Those AI figure videos are slop. A lot of them have been pretty gross. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. 60% of the population gone. Yeah, that does sound steep. I'll agree with you. Let's see here. I've yet to see AI generated art that replicates newsprint era of comics, something I'm experimenting on replicating with physical pencil and ink. That's ambitious, Samuel. I hope you succeed. I don't know what those are, Andrew. Freely admit, not sure what those are. Not sure. Yeah, exactly. They price gouge like crazy. Before we know it, all the big names for toys, cartoons, and movies will be gone. Cartoon Network is almost gone. Hasbro's going to end up like Titanic, and Disney is a mess. Yep. I own Zoolander on DVD, the Super Sentai Zoolander. I've already been watching it, so I plan on doing a big retrospective on it one day. I bought it for that purpose. If they can pick up where Hasbro left off, they will do a better job. Do you think some of the blame comes from retail stores? Because even with Jada toys priced at around $25, when you find them in brick and mortar stores, they can sell for up to $50. Well, yes, to a degree, but again, that's a retail problem. Jada is pricing them at $24.99, so I'm giving them credit for doing that. Hasbro is the one that will then sell their stuff for $34, $35, $50, and then imagine what the retail store sells it for. I called it from day one when Hasbro bought Power Rangers. I knew it would tank as a property owned by them. Great job, Hasbro. You managed to finish the kill shot Disney took it. Yep. Let's see. Michael ever starts reviewing Super Sentai and Tokusatsu. I would love to hear his take on Spider-Man. I have the entire Spider-Man series subtitled. It's one of the videos on my schedule. You can ask Chronically. He and I have talked about it. It's one of the ones I want to do. I think it's very impressive, but it's definitely those are premium priced adult collectibles. They're not toys for toy aisles. I hope everybody who collects that line loves it, but Mondo they're kind of ridiculously priced. So it is 60. That stupid Spider-Man is $60. Unbelievable. Yeah, I've already touched on that at the beginning of the stream sync. You probably want to go back and do the replay to get the answer on that. Snell's World, thank you for the super chat. Michael, I'm quite jealous of that SDF1 playset. What took longer to find, that or the paper one? Well, I don't have the cardboard SDF1. I've had more than a few opportunities to buy it, but I didn't want it. It takes up so much space. I don't own that one. And if you're referring to the Transformers playset, that also didn't take me as long, although they are harder to find now. But the SDF1 playset took me like 5 years to find in the condition where I was willing to pay for it. I didn't jump at the first example. There weren't many that came around over the years, but I skipped out on 2 of them in the 5-year period. The only 2 that came up because they weren't in good shape. Let's see. A post Instagram has a lady who wants AI to do her laundry, cleaning, and cooking, and not art. She wants the time back so she can do the art. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? That's the other thing. AI is not in a position to do toys like at every step of the process. You still need humans. And that is why I believe Hasbro wants out. Aged Boomer, thank you for the super chat. Are you getting the Tomb Raider Colossal Collection, a release of the Top Cow comics from the 90s? Well, I have every single issue, and I have all the IDW omnibuses, the library editions. I will look into this Colossal Collection and see what it looks like, because that sounds tempting. It really does. AI steals from human creators, putting them out of work. Pretty soon, all they will be able to steal from are other stolen AI images. The future of art is going to be some weird AI incest mutant. Yep. I recommend the Go Kiger series. Okay, great. Thank you. Let's see. Michael, how much longer do you think the Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron line will last? I'm sure they're close to running out of ships. Hard to say. I mean, I bought the ones I bought, and then did the video, and then didn't really buy anymore. Unless they start doing a lot of really compelling redecos on a lot of them, then I imagine it's almost run its course. Let's see here. Thought that $60 for Maximum Spidey was from a placeholder on a Mexican web store. Yeah, again, I'm not sure what the details are. So if that's the case, then maybe it ends up being $44.99 or $49.99, which is still brutal. What do you think of the Origins Thundercats? I didn't know there were Origins Thundercats, so I don't really have anything to say about them because I haven't seen them. KBA, thanks for the super chat. He says, as much as I love those old IPs, I would much rather see people developing new IPs that evoke aspects of those old IPs with new character setting. Yeah, agreed. Develop new stuff. I mean, I have some that were built by my friend 2 Cents Toys. He kind of gave them to me. They're already built, of course. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to getting another one. Then I'd have to find the time to build it. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed. Let's see. I know that, wasn't it Mark Hamill that was in a version of that? Yeah, I haven't watched any of the Guyver content, but I am aware of it. Yeah, I did see that, and they're making the fanboys go all gaga over the blonde cover girl, which is like, I never did understand that, because cover girl was the majority of her appearances in the cartoon were after the mass device, when she had auburn hair. But there's all these people who are like, no, she's got to be blonde. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. The only thing I regret on that score is it's too bad that the auburn-haired cover girl didn't get the face that they've sculpted for the blonde-haired cover girl. That feels like a rip. I wouldn't know. I've never bought anything from Ramen. Do I think the latest Ghostbusters Ecto 1 HasLab package is overpriced? I think anything HasLab is overpriced. Has anyone purchased what's called the Kime 7.5-inch soldier action figure from Amazon? I have not. Haven't even heard of it. Does anyone else find it easier to see through today's AI art over the ones from 3 years ago? Yeah, it's you can kind of tell it has a sheen to it. Even the videos that they make, you can tell. Only ship from that line I see your attention is the one they redecoed as a Kenner X-Wing, but it's limited to 5. Of course it's limited. Fortunately, I have like 5 Kenner X-Wings, so real ones. Ra, when you say revisited, do you mean revisited like with new toys, I assume? That'd be neat. I don't know how they'd price them. For all the IPs that inspired Gen X to go out and become filmmakers, toy makers, etc., you'd think someone would have come up with their own original story instead of rehashing the things they love. Yeah, you would think. Looking around, it's not fully confirmed on the price. I see 50 USA thrown around a lot. In fact, Hasbro is giving us the silent treatment now. Are normally open about the price. Says, yeah, there are conversations going on in the background there for sure. They know a man of culture. They know that they're about to really screw us over again. And they're going to do it. They just have to figure out what their talking points will be so that the Hasbros will just go, yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Thanks for that great explanation. I love Conan the Barbarian, but would much rather see a new barbarian character than more pastiche. Yep. That blonde cover girl mixed with the Lady J body would make for an awesome classified style Sonya Blade figure. I hadn't thought of that. Good point. Thanks, Hot Rod. Hope you're doing well too. Someone mentioned above about revisiting old IPs. I'd like to see old IPs with short runs being revisited. Yeah, the ones that almost had a chance, but then didn't. Exactly. Let's see. Michael, do you own any McFarlane figs? I don't. Not a boycott or anything. I was already starting to kind of fall off the modern toy train, and because his stuff was 7-inch, it's first the industry tried to sell us on 6-inch with all those different lines, DC Universe and Black Series and Marvel Legends and this and that, and then here comes McFarlane and he's like, nah, I'm going to make it 7-inch. And I'm like, well, then you're not going to get my business because I don't have time for these shenanigans. Maybe this question is a few years old, but thoughts on what appears to be the end of the Final Faction line? I didn't hear that they were ending it, but I haven't been able to keep up with it past, I think, the third wave. Do you have any idea why it's going away? Like, is it because dollar stores have had to up their prices? I'm not sure. It all depends on what their reason is. Said it before that they have a price in mind, but want to find out what the absolute max that people would. Yeah, yeah. They're already trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out how much lube they have to put on the minimal amount of lube to put on that broomstick before they shove it right up our rear end. I now have the vision of a Hasbro as Kevin Bacon and Tidy Whitey's asking, "Please, sir, may I have another?" And yeah. I'm only tempted if I can determine if I can do the hair swap from the classified cover girl to that one, because I like my cover girl with auburn hair. What license would you like to see Jada Toys take a shot at? Take your pick. Star Wars would be fun. Indiana Jones would be fun. I think they do a good job at whatever they decided to take an interest in. Are you talking about the vintage? Because obviously Galoob doesn't exist anymore. I assume you're talking about the vintage Starship Trooper line. That line wasn't very big, if I recall. It was only a few figures, and I think I have like one or two of them. But no, I haven't had an acute interest in them, to be honest. Yeah. I was talking to some of my friends about how manga is becoming just as, if not more popular than US comics. What do you think about this? And is there anything comics can do to change, or is it too late? Let's see. I think the comic book industry being owned corporately now by Disney and Warner Brothers, that's hurting it. The independent comics, yeah, the shenanigans with Diamond Select going bankrupt and all that kind of stuff, or Diamond Distributor, whatever it's called. Yeah, sometimes it's time for something else to move in and take the other thing's place. All things come to an end, or all things go into hibernation. And right now, if it's time for anime and manga to become ascendant in the United States, then so be it. I like manga and I like anime, so I have no regrets. That is true. That would be very nice. I agree. Absolutely agree. And I agree with that too. 100%. Let's see. Manga has been more popular than US comics by an order of magnitude for at least a decade now, and understandably so. More innovative stories, higher propensity of quality content. You get more bang for your buck with each manga volume. I ditched Star Wars and am now focusing on Gundam and other cool franchises. I'm in a similar boat. I still have my classic Star Wars stuff, but I've been focused on other new interests and things while I continue to explore some things and invest in some things that are legacy interests. Like I'm buying I'm buying more Indiana Jones related stuff, both vintage and bespoke, and I'm buying some anime related stuff, and I'm still getting traditional action figures and toys here and there because I'm still looking out for things for videos and things that I'm doing, but it's not like it was. I'm especially with the modern stuff, I'm staying well away. Let's see, the Pirates of Darkwater and SWAT Cats. Oh, good point. Yeah, especially Pirates of Darkwater for sure. Michael has been weebified. We the Weeborg. I was watching Pat Labor the other day, as a matter of fact. Well, I told you that. I texted you about it. That doesn't sound good. I don't like that at all. No, that's the worst thing you could have told me. I'd get into imports, but I'm not entirely sure where to start. Any recommendations on how to get started? When you say imports, what do you mean, Harvey? You're not really qualifying it. Are you referring to Japanese toys? Are you referring to what are you referring to? Like, what are you referring to? Sup, Master Son? Good to see you, man. We all know that everyone wants Kandagawa Jet Girls figures. Hey, I would love to have a statue with that jet ski with the two of them on it, like posed, like leaping over, a obstacle or something. Yeah, I'd buy it. I have heard about Kamen Rider. I need to check that one out. Yep. The problem with manga and anime becoming more mainstream that I've noticed is the prevalence of bias-influenced localization over more authentic translation. Yeah, and I've heard that a lot of the Japanese studios are very upset about that. So hopefully that won't continue very long. Because I've heard that some Japanese studios have said, you keep this up and we're not going to have a relationship anymore. Which I hope, I hope they do stick to their guns. I think Kathleen Kennedy is waiting to get that last big hit Star Wars movie so she can retire, going out on top instead of disgrace. Well, how long's that going to take? She'll be 90 and still swinging at the home plate because she can't make a good movie to save her life. How do you feel about the animal figures from Hasbro? Also, word of warning to people looking for alternatives for Hasbro animals. I don't know what those are, Gerald. I've never heard of those. You'll have to let me know. I kept watching the original Star Wars films over and over the whole time anyway. It wasn't the world I loved. It was those movies. I didn't need any more. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Kamen Rider Decade. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I've got that on pre-order. Will Stupid Dick Tracy ever be rebooted by boomers one last time? That's not going to happen until Warren Beatty passes away because he won't give up the rights. He has the rights and he won't give it up. Yeah, I hopefully plan to do another one day. I'm in the middle of making some big videos right now, and I'm only one person. I don't have editors and things like that. And those videos are how I keep a roof over my head, with honest revenue and stuff like that. So I mean, let's not fight, Rob. Let's not fight. Yeah. You speak truth, Ra. You speak the truth. All right. Well, everybody, okay, let's see. Jeremy says, bought the Cat's Lair, and I find the artwork on the box makes no logical sense. It's Super 7. What do you expect? Michael needs generative AI to create responses for all these ever think about questions. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I just thought about it now when you mentioned it. Yes. Yeah. Oh, man. Senran? Okay. I will look that one up. As a matter of fact, I'll look it up right now. Senran. Let's see. Oh, this is a game. Oh, I didn't realize that this. I thought it was an anime. Okay, there is an anime. Okay. Senran Kagura Ninja Flash. Let's see if that's actually on. Oh, it is. Cool. All right. Well, then I will make sure to watch that. I've seen Girls in Panzer in its totality. It does have great enthusiasm for World War II tanks. I didn't find the show to be all that compared to what people were saying. I thought it was, after you get over the gimmick in the first like 3 episodes, it kind of becomes like a weird by the numbers kind of show. But yes, the concept and the detail was fun. Do you often just tell people they look like people? Like what? I mean, I like Grosse Pointe Blank, but you know, now we need to get Michael to watch so he swears off anime forever. I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of this. Oh, yes. I think I watched I feel like I watched like the first 2 episodes of this, and then it got lost in my watch list. I'll go back and watch it again. So let me see here. So Senran. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and there's like 2 series of it. Oh gosh, there's a Senran Kagura Shinobi Master, and then there's a Senran Kagura. All right, I'll have to figure out which one comes first. I saw High School of the Dead years ago on Netflix. What a wild show that was. Funny how that works, isn't it? I get that a lot. Yes, they have, Sarah. Yes, they have. Well, I don't have any, Mark. I never got into the CCG game back in the day. So I don't really have any to talk. I don't really have any to talk about on stream. Thank you very much, Mr. T's Toys. You're welcome. Thank you very much. I will. I intend to. I'm in the process. Yep. I'm aware of both. I have City Hunter in my watch list. Will Eon ever license out James Bond for some affordable 6-inch action figures? The problem is likeness rights. There's too many likenesses across too many decades and too many different contracts, and I seriously doubt they're ever going to iron that out. You're not wrong, Ragamuffin. You're not wrong. Yeah. That would be the quick way to get a result, though what that result would be. Figma, Mayfex, SH Figure Arts. I don't know terribly much about all those, like Mezco, Mayfex, all that kind of stuff. I know they're very high quality, but barrier to entry is high as far as a price. And if you're into world builds, you're not going to get those with those lines. You're really just going to get iconic characters, and that's about it. So that's why it's never really interested me. Let's see here. What's up, David? Thank you for the super chat, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. But a Tomb Raider figure line would work. Now, wait a second. Hold on. I'm confused. You just suggested a Tomb Raider line, but now you're implying that it wouldn't work. Don't be playing head games with me, because I'll catch you doing it, and then I'll play back. I wish you nothing but peace and happiness, but I love seeing you tear into someone. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I wish it happened less, but somebody's got to do it, right? RetroBlasting in another world. Yeah, that would be like a 5-minute episode, because I would just start pointing out all the incongruities of this world that I'm in, and everybody would be like, "What?" And then the whole illusion would break down. I can't get into that show. Everybody's saying how great it is, and I can't get into it. I cannot get into it. Yeah, that would have been kind of the pertinent part of the sentence, wouldn't it? Oh God. Let's see. Michael, have you given Black Lagoon anime a try? It's like Quentin Tarantino made an anime. No, I haven't, but I'll look it up. I watched all of that. That was great. I watched all of that. Let's see. I'm just reading some comments here, trying to grab one. Let's see. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I know some people at Mayfex. I could probably talk them into doing more figures if they know Hasbro is dying and they could sell to American collectors. Right now, they make exclusively for Nihon. Yeah. The sad thing is, even Hasbro's best line, Transformers, is made better by third party. Yep. Ah, Matt, thanks for the super chat, man. Longtime UK fan. Thank you. I'm a big fan of the UK. Thanks for the decade of vids and counting. Thank you, and you're welcome. Get yourself a Cadbury's Dairy Milk on me. That would be yes. I might just do that. I have an international section at my local grocers. I might just do that, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I hope your evening is going well. I'd love to see you cover the Dragon Ball franchise. You know who you need to be watching if you want good videos about the Dragon Ball franchise? You need to be watching Chronically Online. I'm not kidding. If you want RetroBlasting meets Dragon Ball Z, and I don't mean, he's got his own style, he's got his own vibe, he's got everything like that. But when it comes to critical analysis, when it comes to the getting into the meat of it, and it's a Dragon Ball Z expert, you got to watch Chronically Online. Like, I love watching videos about things that I don't know a lot about, provided that video is actually giving me good information. A lot of channels don't. They're just hype channels. He's not. And his Dragon Ball Z content is fascinating. Chronically Online, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, Chronically Online. If Hasbro folds, maybe Bandai can get the GoBots rights back and do proper reissues and give the license out proper for new machine. Well, Machine Robo isn't hindered. It's just we can't do Americanized versions of them, from what I understand. Yes, I've seen Death Note. Yep. The Diaclone line. You're talking about the vintage Diaclone line? I mean, yeah, it's up my street, but it's also worth a fortune. That's like saying, Michael, I think Aston Martins are really up your street. It's like, well, I agree, but I'm not going to have one anytime soon. In all fairness, Gerald, I don't think that the Survivor trilogy opened that way. I don't think it's fair to say that with that. I actually think that the Survivor trilogies, especially its first game, and I didn't really have that much of a problem with the second game. The third game is where it becomes plotting and preachy and all kinds of stuff. But I really feel like you're doing a disservice to the first two games in the Survivor trilogy by being like that with that label. I don't see it that way. As a matter of fact, the 2013 Tomb Raider is one of the most daring edgy things I've ever seen a franchise do to reinvent itself. I really like that game a lot. Chronically Online's video on lightsaber accessories is amazing. Yeah, it is a masterclass in modern Star Wars figure accessories. It is incredible. Incredible. Got a bad feeling about this podcast. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, besides Michael Havens, who do you think is the worst person in this hobby? Lots of con men out there. There's a lot of guys in the Star Wars community that they bully people with their orthodoxy, but you scratch the surface and you find out that they are trying to sell something. And they're trying to sell it to you, and they're trying to part you from your money. So I'd say they're all equally bad in that regard. A lot of people in the Joe groups are really caustic. So I don't think you could single out one person. Although, I would say that certain YouTube channels that try to position themselves as authorities, but have gotten everything wrong that they've predicted while trying to tear down other YouTube channels' reputations in the process. They're some of the worst actors out there. And when I say it, I mean bad actor, like not like bad actor like you can't convincingly deliver a scene. I mean bad actor in the definition of somebody who's trying to be deceitful. Yeah. Everybody always asks me this. I don't know why. No, these are Master Son gave me these. They're coasters. They're coasters for drinks. Although I've got piles and piles and piles of these in bags, in boxes in back room over there. Would I do a video on the Highlander franchise? You want to see somebody from RetroBlasting talk about the Highlander franchise, you should go over and watch Melinda in her special episode on Movie Oubliette talking about Highlander 2 and all of its alternate cuts. You can get a taste of what the RetroBlasting sort of milieu for Highlander would be, and you also get the excellent double whammy of having Movie Oubliette's commentary in there as well. Fully produced video on all the ins and outs of Highlander 2. Great video. You should watch it. And Melinda stars in it. So go do that. Oh, and thank you very much for the super chat. See that right there? That was a super chat answer right there. You give me a super chat and I recommend you go off to another channel and watch this amazing video you didn't know about. That's value. That's value. I'm baffled and heartbroken that Hasbro is primarily working on video games and not toys. Then again, Hasbro is this is Hasbro. Yeah. Well, the writing was on the wall. The writing for that's been on the wall for like at least 7 or 8 years. Really longer since that guy wanted to become a movie studio. Yeah. Yeah, it is, Harvey. That video on Hasbro Retro Collection is awesome. Yep. His channel's great. His channel kicks so much ass. I can't wait to see him ascend. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, they really messed up Magic the Gathering in like 20 different directions. It's really embarrassing. Oh, it exists, Corbin, in more versions than anybody can imagine. I'd like to think so. This is also true, Fauntleroy. This is very true. Completely agree with your assessment. Maybe it's a good thing that other companies will take over their licenses in time. Yep. I think that's the best thing that could happen. Clever white elephant gift, though. Fully believe, yes, absolutely. Clever gift. Not only did Hasbro mess up Magic, they got Pinkertons involved when they screwed up and sent a card. Yeah. I am being told that it is now 90 minutes since the start of this thing, and I unfortunately have to try and make a few phone calls tonight. So I'm doing well, Advance. I'm doing really well. Holy crap, Scuba Pete! Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the generous super chat. He says for Old Overholt, if you can find it. I have one parcel to open tonight before this stream ends, so I want to do that real quick. I've been summoned to some phone calls, but it's okay. I'm not ending just yet. Give me about 5 minutes because I've got a parcel to open, and then okay. All right. This is a parcel that showed up today. I have Old Overholt is the best. Pop the tape here. I don't know who this was from, but apparently, okay, so box open. I don't recognize the name. There's a lot of bubble wrap here. Let's say here. From Evander. Evander has sent me something. What is this? Oh my gosh, what has he done? I think Evander's just sent me a G.I. Joe Sergeant Savage P-40 Warhawk. I have this feeling. Yeah. Oh my God. Did you really do that, Evander? You got to be kidding me. Yep. Holy crap. And I believe these are the wings. Set that here. Man. Yep, here it's slightly undersized wings and rudders, or sorry, elevators. Holy cow, this is a very, very generous gift, Evander. So when you watch this, thanks a million for holy crap. I cannot believe that you sent this to me. Oh my God. Okay, what do we got here? What do we got here? What do we got here? It's actually in really good shape, all things considered. I guess I'll figure out where that key's in at some point. It looks a little janky right there, but I'm sure there's a way to get it on there straight. So we'll just leave it like that for now. That's going to take some doing. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And finally, we have this. like that. Well, look at that. I finally have the World War II G.I. Joe airplane. Don't know if it's got rockets. Let's see. Guess it's missing its missiles, but I can sort that out, no problem. So the plane itself is what's really key. So Evander, thank you so much, man. If you're here, you see this, thank you. Do I have the Lego Optimus Prime? No, I don't. I do not have that. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good, Crystal. It looks good. I mean, I think it's got some missiles, some rack missiles and stuff that I need to find for it, but rockets or whatever you want to call it. But as far as the airplane, which is the main event, it looks really good. So, all right, everybody. That is true. That is true. I don't know, but if it did come with a figure, the figure's not with it. It's just the plane. Let's see. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Burp, 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 burrap, burrap. I guess it's got a battery powered option on it or something, a battery powered feature that I'm not terribly familiar with. This was after my time slightly. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight and talking about this topic. Once again, thanks Scuba Pete for the very kind super chat right there at the end. If we can find some old Overholt, we definitely will. Ahead of your arrival. And in the meantime, guys, if you need me, you can reach me on Patreon. You can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, here on YouTube. And if you're waiting for the next video, don't worry. It's already in production. I recorded the whole script today for the next big video. I've got 2 big videos in the hopper right now. So just stay patient. The next video is coming this week. So and it is a toy video. So just hold on to your butts. It's on the way. So everybody have a great night, and I will see you soon.